All right, so in this video, we're going to be talking about 7 to 8 reasons why working in audit is going to benefit your career, whether you decide to work as an accountant or, in my case, a controller, a financial analyst, or in general working in financial research. And these reasons are going to be 1, flexibility in exit, 2, variety of clients, 3, learning technical aspects of accounting, and then 4, a CPA license experience, 5, starting your salary history on a higher base, and then 6, how an audit is run from the inside. This is how you learn how an audit is run from the inside. And then 7, an option to stay and work your way up to partner. And then number 8, a bit of travel. So in audit, you can do a little bit of travel on the company's dime, on the company's expense, which is something that I enjoy doing. And that's the 8 reasons that I'm going to be talking about today. But before diving into this, I want to let you in on a little secret when it comes to audit, right? Because working in audit shifts your mindset as a professional in general. And that's the biggest reason why that makes you a better accountant, financial analyst, financial researcher in general. Working in audit gives you this mindset of looking for support, looking for evidence, looking for data to support what you're saying, because an auditor's main responsibility is to opine on the fairness of the financial statements, right? And that's a big responsibility. So you're always looking for data, right? And so when your mindset shifts this way and you're always looking for data, it makes you a better professional. Quite frankly, it makes you a better human being, because we all like people who give opinion in life supported by data and not just their own opinion without any data, right? And so working in audit shifts your mindset, and that's the biggest reason why I recommend spending a little bit of time in audit, not more than 2 to 5 years based on your specific situation. But at the same time, don't kill yourself trying to do this, right? If you're already mid-career and you have family and kids, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult now to go back and work in audit, don't do this, right? This is only recommended. It's not a must, right? You can still succeed without working in audit, right? But if you have the ability to do it, if you're at the beginning of your career, if you're someone fresh out of college, not a lot of responsibilities, audit entails long hours, and so it's better to do it before setting up a big family and kids. It's going to be a lot more flexible for you to be able to learn all of this. All right, so reason number 1, flexibility in exit. And as a quick background, I started my career at PricewaterhouseCoopers as an auditor in banking and capital markets, which meant that my clients were broker-dealers, banks, hedge funds, real estate investment funds. And from what I've seen, the exit opportunities, just the variety of exit opportunities that I've seen around me. So my senior at the time, who was with me on a bank engagement, went out to work as an equity researcher at Morgan Stanley. Right, so when I exited, I went to work as a financial analyst at a startup. He went to work as an equity researcher at Morgan Stanley. And after that, he went to work as a VP of FP&A, financial planning and analysis, at a public company, right? So he positioned himself as a CFO track. So most likely in his future down the line, he's gonna become most likely a CFO, right, if he wants to. In my case, I took a financial analyst route, and after that, I took more of an accounting-centric approach, which I became an accounting manager, assistant controller, and then a controller. So I put myself in the position of becoming more on the accounting side. So most likely, my future will entail working as a global controller or potentially a chief accounting officer, right? So these are the 2 options. These are just only 2 options out of many that I've seen. So, for example, the FBI hires auditors, right? The UN, the United Nations, you can actually go work at the UN. There are a variety of career opportunities at the UN for somebody who's worked as an auditor in the past, right? So there are so many options out there, and I'm curious to learn from you. Let me know in the comment section below what kind of career track you'd like to do. Would you like to be more in the controller side, the CFO side, more working in the public sector, maybe working for the UN, for a governmental body like the FBI or something like that? So let me know in the comment section below. But the variety that I've seen from the exit opportunity side is just immense when it comes to audit. So that's going to be my reason number 1. Reason number 2 on my list is going to be the variety of clients. And so in my case, as to give you an example, I worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers in the audit department in banking and capital markets, which meant that my clients were banks, hedge funds, real estate investment funds, and broker-dealers. And what I mean here by variety of clients is that you see different business models. So that exposes you early on to different business models. So for example, at the broker dealer, I realize and I see how they make their money, right? So they make money, for example, from the custody of assets, from the administration of the stocks, and a variety of other ways to make money, right? So you look at that, and then you go work at a real estate investment fund, and these guys were holding commercial properties, right? So they are, for example, getting a building and renting it out to Home Depot, right, or the Walmart, right? And so they collect rent. And so you look at the expenses and the maintenance and the things that they do to maintain the property. You look at the P&L, you understand the business, right? You go to work at a hedge fund, and then you see how they make their money by being short or long, and you look at the strategy of how they make their money, right? So that gives you an exposure early on to different business models, and that's just gonna make you a better business professional in general. And that's what I mean by variety of clients. It's something unique you get only in consulting and audit, and that's why also I recommend being in audit. Reason number 3 is learning technical areas of accounting, which is going to help you whether you're going to become an accountant, a financial analyst, a researcher in general. Understanding concepts of accounting is going to help you in general, right? And in my view, there are 3 main sources when you work in audit that are going to teach you. Number 1 is learning from your bosses. So you're going to be working with a senior, a manager, a partner on the engagement. You're going to be learning from them about how to review financial statements, how to understand the client's business, all that stuff, right? Second source is going to be learning from the client himself. So working in audit, you have to perform what we call walkthroughs. And walkthrough is that you are basically walking through the business with the client. And to do that, you got to be asking tons of questions. And this is going to be one of your rare opportunities in life to be asking dumb questions and be okay, right? Because you're basically learning about their business. You could be asking them anything. So learning from the client is second source. Third source is classroom learning. So when you work, especially in Big Four, there's going to be an actual classroom learning, sitting in the classroom and learning about new pronouncements. For example, the new revenue standards, ASC 606, the new lease accounting standards, ASC 842, and all that stuff, right? So this is one of the major reasons for me is the learning. The amount of learning you get in audit is immense. And you basically, it's almost like dog years. You're spending a couple of years working in audit. It's almost equivalent to about maybe 6 or 8 years working other, everywhere else. And so working in audit is essential in terms of learning technical areas of accounting. Reason number 4 is to gather enough experience to get your CPA license. And I'm going to give you a funny story about that, because when I got my CPA license, it was in New York State. And the requirement was 120 college credits, 2 years of experience working under the supervision of a CPA, and of course passing the very painful 4-part exam for the CPA, which I failed multiple times and then I passed. So I got that. And I just needed to get a signed form from my previous boss, which was PricewaterhouseCoopers, saying that I worked 2 years under the supervision of a CPA. And when I sent the paperwork in, I got it back and I sent it to the state. I got back a letter that says that I'm missing 3 days. It's 3 days out of 2 years. So imagine that. My boss at the time that I was working under was not a licensed CPA, so I couldn't get the experience from them. I had to find a way to find 3 days to get the experience. So literally, I had to go knocking doors in smaller CPA firms in my neighborhood to try to find somebody who would employ me on a part-time basis to get those 3 days, right? And it took a while, right? Because people are skeptic, like, well, who's this guy who's coming and trying to work for 3 days of experience? But anyway, so working in audit gives you that experience, and so that's my reason number 4 for working in audit. Reason number 5 is starting your salary history with a higher base, right? Starting your salary history with a higher base. So working in audit, when you first get out of college, you usually, nowadays in 2022, the starting salary is around 65K, right? That's your starting salary, right? And again, money isn't everything. So you'll see as a common theme in my videos, I say that money is good, but most important is work-life balance and having a good boss. Having a good boss is gonna teach you work-life balance, more important than money. But money is good, so we're saying that with audit, you start with a higher base. So in a bigger market like New York City, right? And in 2022, we're talking about 65K starting salary versus if you start out working maybe government or private industry, you're looking at about 50, maybe 55K, maybe 60K. But with audit, you're looking at an increase on your second year and third year that's gonna even springboard that beyond that number. So when you work in audit at the beginning and then you make a big jump out of audit, usually your jump entails 10 to 15 to 20% sometimes when you jump out of audit into private industry. And if you haven't seen my video on your CPA is worth $2 million, go ahead and watch it. I'm gonna leave a link up here to it. But basically, it's gonna allow you to, 5 years into your career, to be in the 100K, above 100K mark, which is important. So money is good, it's not everything, but working in audit will start out your salary history at a higher base. That's reason number 5 in this case. Reason number 6 is that you have the option to stay at the accounting firm and become a partner, right? Usually it takes about 15 to 20 years, right? I've seen people do it in 12 years, but it's quite difficult. But it's big. It's not for me, right? I couldn't work in public accounting more than a couple of years. It's pretty difficult. It's not a good work-life balance. But for those who can do it, it's quite rewarding to become a partner. Imagine the famous line from the movie when the guy comes home and shouts and says, "Honey, I made partner of the firm," right? It's huge. It's not for me, but it's big. Right, so you have the option to become a partner if you want to. Partners make at the beginning somewhere between 300 to 400K, and then when they become senior partners, they're closer to $1 million a year in salary. So it's nice, but it's hard, but it's there as one of the reasons you have the options to become a partner if you wanted to. The next reason on my list is learning how an audit is run from the inside. And that's going to help you when you become like me now as a controller, sitting on the other side of the fence, and you have the auditor talking to you. You're able to call bull, right? You know when something is off. So an example for that is that if an auditor is trying to test, let's say, salary expense, and they also have an objective to test, say, bonus or commission expense, right? And they're selecting a sample here on the salary side and a sample here on the commission side, right? You can then easily, because you work as an auditor before, you know that you can suggest and say, hey, listen, can you merge these two samples together and select one sample that can test both accounts, right? Because usually the support for salary is going to entail pay stubs, for example, which also can be support for commissions or bonuses, right? So this is the kind of thing that you can only suggest when you work in audit. You can try to find ways in the audit when you're sitting on the other side of the fence to suggest to the auditor to make the work easier, to find the support or to know what to give to the auditor that will immediately satisfy what they're looking for, right? So this is something that you only know if you work in audit, what to give them that will satisfy their curiosity, that will put their question to rest. This is something that you only know when you work in audit. That's another reason to work in audit.
Anthony says, I was able to get an accounting position at a company I wanted to work for because of your invaluable content and interviewing tips. And Angela says, thank you, thank you, thank you. I received 3 job offers out of 4 interviews. Wow. And Alex says, I took your tips, sir, and ran with it. I got a job offer as an accounting analyst today. Michael says, this video helped me get my first accounting job. Thank you so much.
My name is Bill Hanna, and I'm a financial controller, a CPA, and most importantly, a hiring manager. And this course is going to help you crush your next accounting job interview. You will come out of this course feeling fully comfortable answering all of the tough questions that I've seen in 10 years as a hiring manager of accountants, and I've hired accountants from all levels, from interns all the way up to controllers. And these are questions like, tell me about your greatest weakness, why did you choose accounting as a career, how do you explain the basic accounting equation, and why do you want to leave your current job? In total, we'll be covering around 49 topics between questions and their answers, as well as bonus tips. You'll be able to see my model answers in the video lectures, as well as in the PDF summary to glance at as your bedtime reading, so that you're feeling super confident in the night before your accounting job interview. I don't just tell you what to say, but I also tell you why, and I guide you as what not to say. In terms of cost, this course will pay for itself many times over when it helps you land the job of your dreams, like it did for hundreds of other accountants. In terms of return on investment, if you get a new job with an extra $10,000 in pay as a result of this course, your ROI will be around 5,000%. Hope to see you all in there. All right, so the final reason on my list is a little bit more fun, which is that you get to travel on the company's dime, right? So you do that more than you would normally do working in private industry, right? So it's nice because the company or the firm will put you up in a nice hotel, give you an allowance to go out and eat and have some wine, have some drinks. And you do that on the company's dime because traveling is normally expensive, and when you get to do it in somebody else's expense, it's nice. For me personally, I worked in banking when I worked in audit, so there weren't a lot of exotic destinations, right? So it was like Boston, London. I have some friends who went to Bermuda. Bermuda apparently has favorable tax regulations, and so it's more of a tax haven. A lot of hedge funds go there, right? But the idea is that it's not a huge reason, but it's one of the reasons you might want to be in audit if you're young and you want to travel on somebody else's expense. It's one of the reasons. I put it at the end because it's not as big, but it is one. So if you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you know someone who will benefit from it, go ahead and share it with them. And if you have any questions about your career trajectory in general, leave it in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer it, and I'll see you in the next video.